all about writing with Ben and Sara.
Welcome to All About Writing, the podcast that covers everything about the world of writing from the inside out. This is episode 6, part 1 on our series about marketing. I'm Ben, here with my co-host Sara, who is an award-winning best-selling author, screenwriter, editor, and TED Talk presenter.
And I'm Sara, here with my co-host Ben, who is an award-winning best-selling author and ghostwriter, editor, and publisher. We are here to talk about the bane of author existence. I think that everybody would agree to that. And if I've ever met an author who is like, I love marketing, it's my favorite part about being an author, I totally forgot, or it was so mind-blowing that I couldn't hold on to the fact that someone in this world existed who loved it.
Yeah, and I figured if they never said that to me, they're not actually an author. No, they're
Well,
trying
they
to sell
were
me
really, really drunk.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, marketing. Okay, we love it. Marketing's awesome. But I think, we're just gonna be real with you guys. Marketing's tough. Marketing is tough, and it's not why any of us started writing books, but it is essential. And there are ways to succeed at it. And we're gonna sort of broach that subject today and see if we can just start to scratch the surface a little bit on marketing.
Well,
Sara,
and then we're going to
take it
dive.
away.
We're going to dive into all the little aspects. We're going to bring in a lot of people as these episodes go on who are experts in very specific pieces of the market of book marketing, because not everybody can do all of it and do all of it well. Some people are really good at doing the social media aspect of it. Some people are really good at, coordinating in-person meetings or blog trains or whatever they're called now. I don't even know. You're laughing at me. He's laughing at me. What? I don't know what they're like, you visit blogs. What is that called? I don't remember.
I don't know. I was going to
That
say
was a thing
blogging.
for a while. That was a thing where you like blog hopped to like
Oh,
promote your
yeah.
book, right?
Yeah.
Like there's been so many things, and I feel like it's only gotten worse. And it's like, we were kind of joking before, but I wasn't kidding. In a way, marketing your book, whether you're traditionally published, small press, independent press, self-published, any of that stuff, you're throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping like you get a lot to stick and get hard and nasty on that wall so your book is never forgotten, like a giant stain. I just gonna come up with every gross analogy I can to this, because I actually, whenever I publish a book, I have that moment where I go, it's out there. And then immediately followed by that deep, visceral dread of, oh, now I have, now I have to like promote it.
Yeah.
And it's so hard. It's like it almost sucks all the joy out of the creating part. The selling part is
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know there was a time when I thought, well, maybe I can just offshore all this suck. I can just hire somebody to do all the marketing for me. And yeah, that is an option. But keep in mind that marketing people are not cheap, and not all of them are actually going to be able to do good work for you. This is something I discovered over the years, that probably the first dozen or so book marketers that I talked to and engaged with to a certain degree, I discovered pretty quickly they are exceptionally good at telling you how good they are at book marketing. But do they actually move the needle for my book? No, no. And marketing is such a vague thing. You can always, well, we tried, but $10,000 later, nothing happened, right? So it is possible to drain your fortune very quickly in marketing if you're not careful, which is why we want to try and help pass on some of the hard-earned lessons we've learned about what does work or what can work, because nothing's guaranteed, but also what you as the author can hopefully do on your own, either on a shoestring budget or by yourself. Certainly there's some things you're going to want to hire some help for, but a lot of it you can do yourself if you know how to do it right. I think that's the key.
Yeah. And I think too, something that I want to preface marketing with that I didn't realize until I really got going. And, how we talk about when you write a book, you have a voice in your book and you have a story to tell. And if you can think of marketing, any aspect of the marketing process that we'll talk about, and any avenue you can take to get your book out there, but you have to learn what is the voice and story you're going to present to the public. And it is a little bit like becoming a spin doctor, and it's hard, especially for people like you and I, Ben, who struggle to toot our own horn loudly or even kind of twisting it so that it sounds bigger than it is to get attention. But I learned over the years, both as a writer and as someone who is a business owner who has, products and a service to sell as a metalsmith, it took a little while, and then all of a sudden I found, oh, this angle, this story, this is my voice out to the public. And suddenly it had been such a struggle, and I didn't understand why but it had been such a struggle to get press, to get any type of notice and traction out in the marketing world and the advertising world and the editorial world, and I didn't understand it. And then once I suddenly found my voice, it changed everything. And I think if you can think of marketing like storytelling, but just spun a little differently, it might make it not easier or more guaranteed, but more palatable, maybe.
Mhm.
That's just one of my more recent takeaways that I've really been ruminating on, even as I despise every aspect of I don't think
Yeah,
any.
and I think what you're saying will resonate with a lot of authors because authors, I think many of us by our nature are introverted, and we don't necessarily want to be out there, like proclaiming how awesome we are. If we were the opposite of that, we'd all be actors. Okay, we're not. We are authors because we like just telling our stories quietly by ourselves, and we'd rather just have someone else just make it all happen. Um, but one thing that we can definitely do as authors is, like you said, find your story. That's great. Depending on what you write, some topics will lend themselves to that more easily than others. If you were writing based on like your profession, then that can be a really easy sort of in, or where you're from. You're writing about a region. Oh, I'm from that region, so okay, that's unique and interesting. I have authority here. That can certainly help. But whatever style of marketing you want to take on as an author, be honest with yourself about what you're good at and what you're not good at. Some authors are actually quite charming when you get them in person and you get them talking about something they're interested in, and they're great speakers. And you can if you have the ability to, if you feel comfortable talking about not necessarily about your book, but just about stuff that will bring attention to yourself, if you can do the tour of local fairs and shows and conferences, you can really gain a following just using your natural charm and charisma. Some authors are very good at that. Some are not at all. Something we're all good at is writing. So blogging is something that can help a lot of authors as long as you do it right. And we'll get into that another time of exactly how to do it right. But at least it's writing. And if you're writing about something you're passionate about, then blogging is a great path forward. Some people are really good at social media. Some people just love social media and they love posting things and it's easy for them and they can just do that. Some of us hate social media and see it as just a necessary evil that we have to engage with. So be honest with yourself. What are you good at? Are you good at writing? Are you good at social media? Are you good at talking in front of people? Do you have the ability to travel? What is realistically on your plate that you can serve up and say, this is what I can do for marketing? Because there are some, like there are all kinds of ideas out there. Not all of them are going to work for you, and it's good to be honest about that.
I will say too, there's a little bit of a hybrid between social media and in-person events. Obviously nowadays the Zoom author visits, where you don't have to travel, you don't have that expense, but you're able to
Yeah.
reach book clubs and do, kind of broader, larger group Zooms in front of a lot of people. That I think has become a very acceptable, very viable, easy to find avenue for writers, as well as on social media, getting in with book groups who host authors, on a certain day of the week, or or on their their blog where there's interaction. And some of them, they want you to have a book giveaway or something, but the expense of one book, sent to reader or something like that is small in comparison to hundreds of dollars a month in Amazon ads, or traveling all over the country speaking at conferences, or you know spending half your day on social media instead of making a living. It depends on, obviously, what kind of money and what kind of time you can invest, because I think there's a monetary value to your time spent marketing as well. But there are some really great ways that marketing books have evolved, even from initial, it's social media, it's ads, it's in person, it's blogs, there's vlogs. I think there's even more now, and I think that's an ever evolving thing we'll get to explore on here, that I find personally exciting. It's probably my favorite pieces of marketing. If I'm going to have to pick a favorite, it's like pick the best of the worst kind of situation, but I don't mind those. I think that there's a lot that you can do in those situations outside of the kind of the more expected ones, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
yeah. And if you are going to think about hiring someone, that's great. It's always good, if nothing else, just to get a bit of advice, some coaching. Here are some best practices. So if you're going to start going heavy on social media and blogging, great, but here are some pitfalls to avoid, and here are some things to do. Like, just some coaching alone can be really valuable, just so you know you're not spinning your wheels. Um, and there are definitely people who specialize in book marketing. When I first started 15 years ago, there weren't. I talked to a couple of PR people that I knew just through my other job, and they were all like, "Ooh, I'd love to help you out. Gosh, I've never marketed a book before. Hmm."
Oh
And
no.
yeah, I should have seen that as a red flag, But they're just so charming, and they're just like, "Oh, yeah, I could do this. Yeah." Um, so make sure you find someone who actually does know what they're doing. And um, cost is not always a reflection of quality, because I know, as a publisher, I have worked with some pretty high priced marketing people out of New York who work for the big five. And as a small press, I realized pretty quickly, yeah, not only are they expensive, but everything that they're offering is just so far beyond the books that I'm producing. Like, I don't have Stephen King in my roster. So, getting us onto USA Today, yeah, it's not going to happen. I can guarantee you. My author's not that important, right? So all the connections that you have are not going to help me. You can say you're going to try, but I know you're not going to succeed. So don't necessarily go for the big, high-powered marketing person, because they may not be the right person for you. Doesn't mean that you're not important, but it means that your audience is elsewhere, and you're going to find them elsewhere. And yeah, so it's finding the right fit, I think, is really important if you are going to think about hiring someone. And yeah, we are definitely going to have a couple of guests on this show on future episodes. Some outstanding book marketing people that we have worked with over the years, who we trust completely. And if you, as an aspiring author, haven't yet found that person, well, keep looking. They are there, and message us. We can certainly make some recommendations. But yeah, you got to find the right fit.
And you have to find someone who, if you know that you can do a few things yourself, that can handle the things that you wouldn't be able to handle easily, quickly, efficiently yourself. Of course, a lot of us can muddle through and figure out the best way to handle, back end, metadata or whatever it is. But if you aren't good at that, if you are not good at setting up a viable author website, don't do it. There are people out there who can do it for you. And I think there are a couple of tools, speaking of author websites, excuse me, that I think every author should have as part of their marketing toolkit. And I know we're going to talk about what should be in, how that should look. And there's lots of people who have all the bells and whistles on their websites and some who are a little bit more streamlined, but websites, a social media preference. Don't you need a blog? If you do have one, how do what's the right way of doing it? Which I know, Ben, you can speak to, and we have our disagreements on blogs. I don't like them. I just don't do them. I've never had great experience with them, and you've had the complete opposite. So I think, knowing that you don't have to do it all, but that there are some basics you probably should have in your marketing toolkit. We're gonna talk about that. I think we actually should do a podcast literally on like just basic marketing toolkits for authors, because there are some things you do need, a website presence. Really, you do need at least a social media presence. This is marketing for us, right? I mean, in reality, what we're doing now is marketing ourselves, putting ourselves out there, creating content. This
Sarah, don't tell them.
it's a fact, Ben. It's a fact. We're being transparent, honest Midwestern Canadians.
You're right. We are. Sorry.
No.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
True. I mean, if podcasts are your thing, make a podcast about, your genre. If you're a passionate, fantasy author and you love going to all the conferences, the cons, and you talk about that and everything, like that's your passion, create a podcast about that. And that is something in your marketing toolkit. And I think, we'll talk a lot about all of the options and depth and what it takes to accomplish them well, or at least, baseline. But marketing is huge. I think basically we're coming down to that. It's really hard. It's not fun. It can be really expensive, but doesn't have to be. And it's huge.
Yeah. So a couple of last thoughts. One, like you said, Sarah, definitely have a website. Have a website, because that is a presence on the internet that you control. Like I've certainly seen people who just use one of the social media sites as their base. And well, if you get banned by Facebook, that's it. You're done. You've lost your Facebook page. You are done, and you've lost everything. So social media is a tool that you can use, but everything should point back to your website because you control it. So that's one. The other point is whatever angle you decide to take with marketing and how you want to market yourself, genuinely make sure it's something that you're interested in, because marketing is a slog and it is the long game. Right? There are no quick wins. There is no magic formula. There's no silver bullet to book marketing. It takes time and it takes energy and it takes commitment. So you better make sure that you actually like what you're talking about, because you're going to be talking about it a lot for a long time.
And it'll be part of your brand.
Yes.
Which we will also talk about, author branding. This is just the teaser episode. This is everything we're going to talk about.
Yeah. We're just getting ourselves psyched up to talk about marketing.
Yeah, right. Need more wine.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. I think that's it. I think we're done. I think that's all we're going to do today.
I don't think I can handle any more discussion about marketing. Please sign us off, Ben.
Okay. Well, that is our show then, everyone. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of our chats, and feel free to leave a review because it really does help us a lot. You can catch up with Sarah at sarahdahlman.com and on Instagram.
And you can find Ben at bennettrcoles.com, as well as Facebook and on Instagram. And again, thank you for joining us today. Please reach out if there is anything specific about marketing or any other topics that you'd like us to cover. And we'll see you again when we next chat all about writing.
This has been All About Writing with Ben and Sara.